so I think pretty much everyone knows there's a recall on the Springfield Armory XDs, and I just want to show a couple of things that some of the people that already sent their firearms in, and I haven't seen any videos posted actually showing what appears to be what I think the problem is, and I'm not sure if it's the sear, if it just is only the grip safety, but in my mind it's the grip safety is part of the issue, and there's something that's going on inside that's not allowing the trigger to reset, and then if the trigger isn't resetting, then there's internal safeties that aren't taking place with the firing pin. So under normal circumstances, you have your hand on this grip safety, or in this case I'm just going to press it in with my thumb here, and you can just move the slide a small amount and the trigger resets perfectly. And so that's how I discovered it. I was dry firing at the house. I was just messing around. I was deliberately taking my hand off of the firearm, putting it back on, and trying different, not necessarily a different grip, but just a different trigger position with my finger. But in doing so, I was completely breaking my grip and then going back to it and trying different finger positions. And the reason for that is because I'm shooting about 1.5 inches left at 7 to 10 yards, and for me, I don't feel like that's acceptable. So I was trying to decide whether I needed to drift the sights or if I needed to adjust the shooter. So as I was messing around with it, I noticed at one time I went to pull the slide back, and again, I was just moving it a little bit at the time, but you can see the trigger never moved. It didn't reset, and so I immediately tried it again. It didn't reset. And then I really got to messing with it, and I found that you could do that repeatedly. Now, typically, you know, if you're in this mode here, and you're going to put the slide forward, that trigger did not reset. So I can see how if you have a live round in there, or if you're chambering your first round, that the inertia of the slide going home would take the firing pin and push it into that round. Now I'm going to put my earmuffs on. I'm going to give this one shot. If it fires, it fires. If it doesn't, it doesn't. I'm not going to do this multiple times to try to do this because I really don't think it's safe, and please don't anyone else try this at home. But I'm going to do the Barney Fife here, and I'm going to dig a round out of my pocket. And I know the grip's going to look extremely odd, just because I'm trying not to touch this. I'm just going to drop one round in the chamber, and I'll try to get the best grip I can without. So I dropped the round. I'm going to try to get the best grip that I can without touching the grip safety. And so right here, I'm really holding with my left hand only, and I'm going to see what happens here. Okay, so it didn't fire. That's awesome. I'm going to let it sit for just a second here, just in case, and then I'm going to go ahead and eject the round. But what I can see here is there's a dent in the primer. Now hopefully you can see that on the screen there. There is a dent in the primer, so I can see how that could potentially fire it. Now, you know, in the case of this particular firearm, it shouldn't make any difference at all. And I just dropped the round again, so that one's lost, it looks like. In this particular firearm, it's possible that the firing pin is just a little bit shorter than some of the other firearms, and if the firing pin was just a little bit longer, you saw the dent in that primer, and when I say just a little bit longer, you know, maybe 10 thousandths of an inch would possibly fire that round. So I think that's what the problem is, and with that being said, you know, to be honest with you, I'm considering, because there's such a massive recall, this affects every 45 and 9mm that's been released. I really believe that I may, and I'm not suggesting anyone else do this, I'm suggesting temporarily, I may go ahead and tape this down. I have a Talon grip on here already, And I may just tape that in place, because if you'll notice that it just takes just a small amount and that trigger is reset. And to be perfectly honest with you, at this point right here, it's almost identical to a Glock. And not saying that they copied it. I'm sure there's a lot of internal things that changed from one firearm to the other. One other thing that I wanted to show everyone is, typically, let me show you the normal breakdown of this firearm. You would, with the grip safety being pressed, you pull the slide to the rear. At this point, you'll rotate this in the up position. Then you want to ride the slide home. You don't want to let it just fly forward. You let it go forward, you squeeze the trigger, and the slide comes off. Alright, then to put it back on, you just lock the slide to the rear again, you turn this back, and then the firearm is ready to be used again. But something else that I noticed was, I don't know if I can do this left-handed, I'll try. You can pull the slide to the rear and lock it in place, and you can move this into this position, and if you're not touching that grip safety, you can release the slide and the firearm just comes straight apart without ever depressing the trigger. So actually, I'm not going to try it, but I believe that from this position right here, I could press the slide lock and my slide and barrel will just fly right off the end of the gun. Obviously, I'm not trying that. However, at this point, if you press, and you can see it locked in place, if you press that forward, and I'm going to go ahead and put this back down, and you release that, and there it went forward again. So, in my opinion, and that's all it is an opinion, I will send it back eventually, but I know they are flooded right now. So what I think I'm going to do temporarily is one of two things. I'm either going to take the template that the Talon grip came on, I'm going to modify that template and cut a new piece out of vinyl that will actually wrap around this and hold it down, or I may just temporarily use a little bit of Gorilla Tape and cut it out to fit there until I'm ready to send this back. So I just want to show that to everyone. I know a lot of people were interested in the fact that you could rack the slide again, and it just doesn't move forward. So with the trigger not resetting, there's several internal safeties that are not being reset. So anyway, that's all I had to really talk about there. I just wanted to show you guys Springfield Armory XDS.